Have you ever been overwhelmed or angry with your child and began yelling? Have you ever wondered there must be a better way? Well, the good news today is that there is a better way, and we're going to teach you 5 strategies to effectively parent without yelling. So stay with us, practice these strategies, and you will get good results. And at the end, I'm going to give you a great resource to sharpen your skills in parenting. So welcome to I Have a Voice. I'm Dean Sinceri. Been a counselor for 30 years, worked with lots of parents on improving their parenting skills. And we're going to teach you today on how to get your kids to listen to you without yelling. So the first question is, why do parents yell? Well, it's usually because they just feel like they lost control, or perhaps we feel just overwhelmed with life and the attention that our kids are wanting from us, or might be a place where we just have a great deal of frustration, or sometimes we're just trying to get our child's attention. The question becomes, does yelling work? Well, I must say that it usually gets the child's attention and may get them quiet, and it may get them to temporarily stop the errant behavior, yet it usually does not correct or change the behavior. In fact, for some children, especially those that struggle with ADD, screaming is a stimulant. What do you mean, Dean? Well, it's like a Ritalin. It stimulates the central nervous system. And when screaming occurs, it stimulates the central nervous system. It actually creates dopamine in their brain and activates their brain to work better. It's kind of a scary thought. Sometimes parents say, they disobey me, I correct them, I scream at them, and it almost seems like they're enjoying it. Well, perhaps you have become their stimulant. So as a parent, you don't want to be their stimulant. You want to be their corrector, and you want to help them move from errant behavior to appropriate behavior. So like all parents, we want the errant behavior to stop, and we want to have the child make a different choice in their behavior. It's a key word, choice, because a child that starts to learn choices and consequences are the ones that really begin to mature and grow up quickly. So today we're going to teach you to effectively address unacceptable behavior without aggression. So let's get right into the strategies. These are strategies to effectively parent without yelling. Strategy number 1 is to connect before you correct. Yes, connect before you correct. I'm not talking about right before the correction. You have to build a respectful relationship with your child to receive respect back. A friend of mine talks about it like this. He says, you need to put a chip in the pot before you start taking chips out. How do I develop a relationship with my child? Well, one practical suggestion is this. Spend 10 to 15 minutes a day with your child doing whatever is on their agenda. They're 5, 6 years old and they want to play a game. Spend 10 to 15 minutes a day playing one of their games. If they're 15 years old and playing Xbox, sit next to them, watch them play Xbox, and ask them questions about their particular game. I heard patience one time defined as being willing to go at another person's pace. Look, if I'm at the shopping mall with my 5-year-old and I want to go from one store to the other, I pick him up and I move and I get whatever needs to be done. But what it means to be patient is that I put the 5-year-old down, point them in the direction, and I walk at their pace, store to store. And it may take an extra 10 minutes, but I actually shifted from being on my agenda to what? Their agenda, or on their pace. That's how you develop a relationship. The better, the stronger the relationship, the easier it will be to correct their behavior. So strategy number 1, connect before you correct. Strategy number 2, present 2 acceptable choices instead of 1 demand. What do I mean by that? Children need to learn responsibility and choices, and often respond better to choices than demands. So as a parent, you need to present them with choices, and each choice needs to be acceptable to you. Give me an example, Dean. Well, here's an example. Say that you need your child to do their homework. The demand would be, go do your homework right now. Don't give me any lip. Get it done. The choice would be, would you like to do your homework before dinner or right after dinner? Which is going to work better? They have a choice. When they make a choice, their buy-in goes up significantly. Well, what if they don't do it before or after? Well, we'll get there in one of the other strategies. But if you start to give them choices now, the chances of them following through start going up significantly. Let's get to strategy number 3. Communicate consequences of consistent problems beforehand. Some problems in parenting children are cyclical problems. They're problems that occur over and over and over again. So you want to identify what that cyclical problem is, communicate the consequence beforehand, and enforce it with compassion, or as Dr. Amen would say, who I really love his stuff, he says, you need to be firm and kind. So say that I have, for example, a child that doesn't pick up after themselves. They leave their clothes in this room, their toys, all their stuff all over the house. Well, we need to deal with that. And it happens over and over again. So we come up with the rules and consequences. So we sit down and say, when I say it's time to clean up, you'll have 15 minutes to go and pick up all your stuff in your room, in the den, wherever it is. Either you can pick it up or I can pick it up. If I pick it up, then you have to buy that object back from me. And you can earn money by doing extra chores or giving me part of your allowance. So the errant behavior, leaving stuff all over the house, you set it up beforehand and you say, when it's time to clean up, they have 15 minutes to clean up their stuff. If they clean it up, great. If I clean it up, then it goes into the storehouse until it's bought back. You're probably going to have to enforce this new rule system for 1 or 2 weeks intensely, but I promise you, if you're consistent with it, then the lesson will be learned and it will be with them a lifetime. Look, instead of you being the bad guy, let the consequence that you all have established be the bad guy and say, well, I'm really sorry. It says right there, it goes into the storehouse until you buy it back. Be firm and compassionate as you enforce the rules. Look, if these strategies are being helpful to you, please like and subscribe to our channel, I Have a Voice. Let's get to strategy number 4. Any unacceptable behavior that you were not prepared for beforehand, delay communicating the consequence until you think it through. There's some cyclical behaviors that you can set up consequences beforehand, but there's some that are totally new that were not even on your radar that you have to deal with. And when you get caught by surprise and you become really angry, the rule is to delay communicating the consequence until a later time. Any situation that causes you anger, you would just stabilize the situation and then say, there will be a consequence and I will discuss it with you later. Let me give you an example. Say you have a 15-year-old and it's revealed to you, you find out that they're smoking pot and it's totally against your rule system for them to be doing illicit drugs. Well, once you find out, you might want to go off. But the thing to say is, I'm disappointed and angry and I'll talk to you later about the consequence. You don't have to decide at the moment. Give yourself time to go from what I call your survival brain to your rational brain. Look, when we get into fight or flight mode, we get into our survival brain and we say things that we later usually regret. The goal is to correct from the rational brain and not the survival brain. How do you get from one to the other? Is you give yourself time. You give yourself time to debrief, to transition. That's why you can say, I'm really angry. I'm going to deal with this. We're going to have a consequence with this. And I'm going to communicate that to you at a later time. So strategy number 4, any unacceptable behavior you're not prepared for, delay communicating the consequence until you think it through. Strategy number 5, to effectively parent without yelling. Have your consequence be an exercise in the desired outcome. Let me say that again. Make sure your consequence is an exercise in the desired outcome. The difference between a punishment and a consequence is a punishment is just a random taking away of something because you've been displeased with your child. But a consequence is actually an exercise in them doing something in the desired behavior. I'll give you a few examples. Let's go back to the 15-year-old that was just caught smoking marijuana. The consequence may be you have to do 3 counseling sessions with the substance abuse counselor and get educated on the negative impact of marijuana on teenagers. So the consequence is not taking away your Xbox for 10 years. No, it's giving them an exercise to get educated in the potential health risk and the risk to them of smoking marijuana as a 15-year-old, and expanding their understanding and education about what marijuana is, how it impacts them, and then giving them more tools to make a better informed decision about what to do in the future. Another example could be, say that your child is failing their math class. Well, if they're failing a math class, you don't want to make them quit the volleyball team or quit the football team, but you want them to pull up their grade. So let the consequence be like, maybe they need to get a tutor that the child pays for in math or contributes to, and they have to continue to have a weekly tutor or tutor twice a week until their grade is pulled up to a satisfactory grade. So the consequence actually brings about the desired result of their grade being raised to where you want it to be. Give you one more example. Say that a child is being very disrespectful verbally and in many different ways to their sibling. So they're displaying lots of disrespect. Well, what is the desired outcome? Is for them to exercise being respectful to their sibling. So the consequence may be you need to go to your room, stay there until you write a letter, an apology letter to your sibling for being disrespectful. And also at the end of the letter, you need to write 5 things you admire about your sibling. When you're finished with that, you can come out, read it to your sibling in front of me. And once that's done, it's complete. So they pull out their letter. They apologize for treating them disrespectfully. They say, this is what I admire about you. This is what I love about you, these 5 things. And that child has an exercise in being respectful and honoring their sibling, which is exactly what you wanted in the first place. Once that's completed, consequence over, and it's back on. So have your consequence be an exercise in the desired outcome. Look, practice these 5 strategies, work on them, be intentional about it, and it will improve your parenting skills, and it will help you not yell when you're addressing negative behavior. Also want to share with you a wonderful resource. There's a book called Parenting with Love and Logic by Foster Cline and Jim Fay. It has so many practical tools on how to parent a child. Jim Fay's a principal. Foster Cline's a psychologist, combining their knowledge and really putting it together in how to effectively address errant behavior of children. And there's a link in the description. You could get that book today. You can click on the link in the description, either get an e-copy or get one mailed to you. It's an invaluable resource. We also have, my wife and I have a number of videos that are on parenting. So if this has been helpful and you want to continue to improve your skills in parenting, there's a whole playlist we have on parenting. And you can click on this video right now and it'll take you to that playlist, and we will see you in the next video.